Going on, guys? So this is an Instagram live with a guy named Brian who is very active on my account. He comments on nearly every post and DMs me several times a day, and he is highly critical, to put it lightly, highly critical of me. I did an Instagram live with him probably about a year ago, and I've shared clips of that. And then he's very active, and I said, would you want to have another conversation? Because I think that the comment section is just built to be bad, essentially. It's why I created my Paradox Roundtable. Paradox is my education platform. It's the idea that you see patterns in the world, you can make sense of the world better. And I created a discussion community of people who, here it is. I've created a community of people who are differently minded, different in every kind of way, and that can have robust conversations with a lot of grace and kind of judgment free. So I'm going to, let's see if I can add him. Here we go. No, I'll try and get him in here. See how this goes. But I'm always open to hearing critiques. So we'll see.
There we go.
How are you, Ryan?
Good, Will. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. So you wanted to, if you wanted to have another conversation, you wanted to lead it. So how would you like to lead this conversation?
Well, I'm going to show you.
Okay.
So let's start with talking about what is critical thinking. So what would be your definition of critical thinking? Just off the top of your head.
I would say viewing concepts in an objective manner.
Okay. Is that it?
No, that's all
Is there
off the
anything?
top of my head. I'd say that's a big part of critical thinking would be objectively analyzing information.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does one objectively analyze information, would you say?
I would say through viewpoint diversity is a big one. I think it's through challenging your own ideas and challenging your beliefs. I think that's a big one. I think hearing different viewpoints and taking them seriously. I think open-mindedness with those things. I think those are some of the ways.
Okay. So what you're describing is dialogue. Dialogue is two people, five people, well, trialogue, five people, six people, 10 people, having a conversation in a respectful way, like your Paradox Roundtable.
Okay.
That's what dialogue is. So I'm here because I think you really mean well, but you're a terrible critical thinking teacher, and
Okay.
I'm going to attempt to show you that respectfully to
Sure.
try and help you.
Sure.
Okay. So
Yes.
my intent is for you to be a better teacher and not post this parade of annoying hypocritical shit that you put online and actually help people.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's noble. It's a
Yep. It's
noble
a noble
thing.
intent. It's a noble intent. You mean well. So first I want to start
No,
by
I
giving
was saying that yours is noble, but okay, yeah, I do try to mean well. Yes.
you mean no, I'm saying you mean well. I understand that you mean well. That's part of the frustration is that
I'm just
the arrogance of people who
I'm just
mean well.
flawed. Is your contention?
Everyone's flawed, but let me run the conversation. Thank you. So last
I
time
can't
this
ask questions.
you can ask questions, but you're thrown in. You're starting with the snarky things. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to be snarky. I'm not going to snarky you, and you're
What
not
did I
going to.
say that was snarky?
You're starting with I'm just flawed, and that's you're going down that road. So let me run the conversation. Okay, I had something to say, and then you can talk all you like.
Okay.
So critical thinking is sort of what you're saying. That's a good start, but in order
Okay.
to be objective, it's not enough to have dialogue. So I want to start by talking about you and a couple things you've done online, which are good. I want to give you props for that. So you first wrote me an email that said, take my children out of your mouth. Don't talk about my children. Now that was in response to you posting something about your children and me responding to your post. So can you see the blatant hypocrisy of that email that you sent me in retrospect?
You said something negative about my children that I thought was inappropriate. Yeah.
Okay, so if
So
I said
so
something negative about your children that you thought was inappropriate,
mhm.
why would you tell me to shut down that conversation by email? As a critical thinker, why wouldn't you talk about it online because you brought your children into the conversation. So you're trying to have it both
Okay,
ways.
but
You're like
remind me
Elon
of the
Musk. What?
context.
Now, can I finish?
Sure.
You're like Elon Musk, who says, I believe in free speech, buys Twitter, and then shuts down free speech of things he doesn't like. You see?
Yeah, yes. What was the context? I don't remember
It doesn't.
exactly what the context was.
Frankly, it doesn't matter. The point is, you were
Well,
upset that I made a comment about your
if
children
you said you
when,
were
in fact,
going to kill my children, it does matter.
I didn't say I was going to kill your children.
I know, but the context matters is my point.
Okay, the context doesn't matter because I wasn't saying something horrible or life-threatening about your children. I was responding to what you were saying. So let's stop going in circles. I was trying to give you a compliment. Try not to be a douche. Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to say to you, you've brought up your children again. And now you're actively using your children online to bolster your profile. So I'd like to give you props for being transparent about something that you were struggling with before. Secondly, when we talked last time, I asked you if you'd ever been addicted to anything or if you had struggles with addiction or drug abuse or anything like that. You remember? And you were like, I don't want to talk about that. And you
No,
changed the subject.
no, I said yes.
Did you?
Yes. Yeah, the recording's on YouTube. Yeah, I said yeah. But I wasn't a drug addict, but I have it. You said, do you have an addictive personality?
Yes. And that's very clear. A lot of Trump supporters have an addictive personality. So, okay, if I missed that one, I apologize. But you've now talked about that publicly. I think that's great, right? So, getting back to critical thinking, when did you start being a critical thinking teacher? What age were you?
Probably 2010 when I met my wife. So probably I was whatever that is, 28.
Okay. So, as a 28-year-old, you were teaching school kids, like high schoolers, middle schoolers?
Correct.
Okay. So, critical thinking is different from dialogue. What you do, again, is dialogue. You like to introduce an idea that's kind of this counter thing. I've talked to a couple of people who've done your paradox. Basically, you bring in the right wing talking point and you encourage a discussion. That's not critical thinking. Critical thinking requires getting to the truth, actually getting to the truth. So, what
I
you're
said
doing is
objective. Okay.
step one. What you're doing is step one, getting to the truth. So, as a 28-year-old, how much had you dealt with your addictive personality at that time?
I've always had an addictive personality, whether it's jujitsu or cigarettes or anything like that.
Okay, but at 28, were you in good shape like you are now, or were you still dealing with things?
Um, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, in good shape. Like, did I work out?
Mental health, emotional health, in a position to teach people anything because you're mentally, emotionally unwell.
No, I wasn't unwell to the point where I couldn't teach. No.
Okay, you were just a little unwell. Okay, so here's the thing. In order to
Right.
see things objectively in the way you want, it's very important that we do a great deal of personal work on ourselves so that we can see the biases, right? You
Okay.
would agree, right?
Yes, yes, we should try to reveal our own biases. Yes.
No, 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 that's not what I said. Personal work on ourselves. In other words, our
Hmm.
emotional health is critical to our critical thinking. Would you agree with the premise?
Um, I think seeing yourself objectively is important to getting to the truth. So I think that you should live that way in all things you do.
Yeah, that's again, you're not quite there. It's 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 not enough to see yourself objectively, which is actually maybe impossible, but it's a lifetime's worth of pursuit. You certainly didn't have it at 28 and you don't have it now. But seeing ourselves objectively is that's a high bar. What
Yes,
really
it's an
what,
aim.
yeah,
It's an aim.
it's a goal, right? It's a good
Okay.
goal. It's a good goal. But what really matters is having an understanding of our emotional reactivity subconsciously to any idea. So, for example, Ayn Rand, you know Ayn Rand, the author,
Hmm.
of course,
Hmm.
the fountainhead, of course. We talked about this last time. Republicans have read Ayn Rand second most to the Bible. Ayn
Okay.
Rand never dealt with her emotional stuff. She was just upset with the Bolshevik situation that took her family's land. So we have a woman who's influenced 40 years of Republican politicians who was extremely intelligent but also very unwell. She was very unwell.
Yes. Okay.
You would agree with that? That she was
Um,
not a well person.
I don't know enough about her mental health. I don't think that being mentally unwell is a right wing thing. I think it's a human
Of
thing.
of course it is. But being repressed in terms of our own emotional state is very much a right wing thing. Repression is the right wing thing. Sexual repression, emotional repression, uh, repression of the truth. Like, let's say Reagan for 40 years. Has that economic system worked? Does supply side economics work? Does it work to relieve taxes from the rich and have the society prosper? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question. Does supply side economics work in the data since Reagan? Yes or no?
I think so.
You think
Yeah, I think
so?
there's
You
yes.
do.
Yes.
Okay, so that's factually incorrect. It
Okay.
doesn't work at all.
Then why is it that economists are split on this? Like
Uh,
very prominent
uh,
economists are split on
what
supply
like
side or demand side economics.
economists like the people that Trump hired or Stephen
No.
Moore? No,
Like people in economics departments at universities, they're split
they're
on
not
this.
split,
People
Will. No, no. You're living in the both sides of the same thing because you can't get to the truth, which is my problem with you as a critical thinker. If you actually don't go look at what the economists say, but do your own research on it, you will see the middle class has been shut down. Incomes are flat, and the rich are up 4,000% since the 80s. That is an objective fact. The incomes are not going up. The middle class is gone. The rich are richer, and it's a smaller group of people. That's an objective fact. And that's a result of this kind of thinking that we saw last night when they did a last minute deal in the middle of the night to basically take certain number of people, 8%, 10% off of their government health programs to fund a $4 trillion deficit addition and to free up taxes on billionaires. We're seeing the same thing today that we saw then. That's an
okay.
objective fact.
I think
It's
there's
not about,
I
go
think
ahead.
there's limits to everything. I think even like Adam Smith talked about the dangers of wealth inequality and stuff. So I think that there isn't like supply side economics is the way or demand side economics is the way. I think that what we have to do is we have to find, to what degree do we move our economic policy in one direction or the other and try and find a balance that works for as many people as possible by incentivizing people to work, but also helping people that need help.
Sure, that all sounds good, but that's not what we've done since Reagan. You're not old enough to know, but the center has moved to the right every decade since Reagan. And the definition of the center has moved to the right, where now we have a right-wing authoritarian, and people just think, well, that's the Republican Party, both sides are the same, you see?
Do you think we moved to the right in economic policy? Do you think we moved to the right in everything?
Uh, the, the, the center
Like
has been
social policy? Do you think social policy moved to the right the last several decades?
social policy has moved to the right in the last 8 years. Yeah, I mean, we have white supremacists in government. Elon Musk is a white supremacist.
Okay,
Peter
well
Thiel
that's an
is a white
opinion.
supremacist.
No, that's an opinion.
No, it's not opinion. Again, be a critical thinker. Do your fucking research. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and the other PayPal founders, where did they grow up? What country?
South
Yes,
Africa.
and when they were there, was it during
So did
apartheid or after
Dave
apartheid?
Matthews, by the way.
Yes. That's great. A contrarian point doesn't mean anything. Try and not play your game and try to follow the thinking. Dave Matthews is not the president of the United States. If he was, we would have a different structure, okay? So these people who are in power, I know it's funny because you're trying to play your game, but it's bullshit, and I'm not going to let you do it. The
Okay.
actual government, Musk, Peter Thiel, who's JD Vance's only boss before he went to Ohio for wrote his book and all that. So these people are white supremacists. Is Elon Musk's grandfather a white supremacist? Yes or no? It's a factual question.
I don't know about his
You don't.
grandfather.
Okay.
But
So as a critical
if someone's
thinker,
grand hold on, if someone's grandfather is negative, what does that have to do with you? Couldn't you look at your grandfather and say, I don't want to be like that?
yes, you could. You could. But see, this is the point of critical thinking you miss.
Okay.
When you look at someone's family history, that helps you to then look at the person. And then you ask yourself, did this person evolve? Or are they in some new way representing the unresolved emotional baggage of their family history? Everyone exists in a family chain of emotional baggage. We all do. Me, you, everyone. And the whole point of life is to deal with those things so that we become a more effective critical thinker. So when we look at Musk and Thiel, and we look at them and their family history, and we look at them now, we have a direct line of white supremacy. When we look at Trump flying people in on a plane from South Africa, while there are people, actually black
Okay.
people, really suffering around the world, that's white supremacy. When we look at deportation, we're not deporting white people who are here illegally. There are white people who are here illegally. This administration that you voted for is white supremacist by their own actions, not because I say so, by their own actions.
But that's your analysis of those actions, Brian.
Yes,
Like
in my
it's not an objective fact that Elon Musk is a white supremacist. That's not the way objectivism works.
okay.
I'm sorry, that's
So
just not true.
so
It could be
so
true, but it's not objectively true. It's subjectively true.
so what is objectively true to you about Elon Musk? Give me one thing.
He is the top shareholder of Tesla.
Okay, for now.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
objectively true.
great,
Okay.
great. So all of those things are irrelevant to critical thinking. What's relevant is to get to the truth about who is Elon Musk. It's not to it's not to say, well, I'm just going to make a home in the scientific facts, and then when it comes to this, I'm going to be a chaos agent and have a conversation. That is an abdication of your responsibility as a teacher. I don't think you have the balls to get to the truth. That's the issue. What is Elon Musk's fundamental character? If you look at the way he treats the women in his life, for example, if you look at the way he treats all the companies that he's been part of, for example, if you look at what he did with Doge, let's just take Doge. How do you feel about what he did with Doge?
I think the principle behind getting rid of government waste
Nope,
is good. I think that
nope,
he is.
stop. What he
You
fucking
asked me a
did.
question.
No, no. And you're going to answer the question what he did, not the principle behind it, not some bullshit right wing thing. What he did, Will, what
Yes.
he did, good, bad,
Brought
and different.
he
What he
brought
did.
awareness to government waste that we were not aware of.
No, he didn't. Go ahead, keep going. What else?
Okay,
What
well,
else did he do?
he he brought in a bunch of young engineers who were good at AI and things to go through the data,
Go through
and he
and do what with it? And do what with it? What did they do with it?
looked for waste.
I see. So they didn't suck up that data for other reasons. They're not holding that data for other
I don't
reasons.
know. I think that
Okay.
the data is probably out there. Our government has it. Private corporations have
Okay.
it.
So let's take your first point, and then I'll let you to a couple more, but my brain will forget. So your first point, there's this thing called inspector generals.
Okay.
They fired all the inspector generals. So the job of the inspector generals is to look for waste, fraud, and abuse. See, you're believing this Republican myth since the 80s that the government is wasteful and it's a bunch of lazy people who are just wasting our money. And that is brainwashing that you've
You don't
sucked
think the
up.
government's wasteful?
No, not terribly wasteful. I
Okay.
mean, there is waste occasionally, but the government is full of mechanisms to audit itself, and these function all the time. That's
Okay.
why Musk came in and said, "I'm going to find 2 trillion," and he's at 100 billion maybe, and he's been lying and inflating these numbers until the New York Times or somebody else finds out that he's lying. So, getting back to the point, you said Musk brought in an awareness. Has been there the whole time. That's what inspector generals do. He got rid of those people. He also got rid of the company, not the companies, the institutions within the government that were investigating his businesses. He also got a bunch of new government contracts. He is literally the fraud and abuse of the government. And you're repeating the talking points like a fucking idiot from the 80s. These talking points aren't new. They outdate your birthday. So you're repeating propaganda. You like to talk about
Okay.
propaganda. What you just said was propaganda. Waste, fraud, and abuse is pursued every day. And his 2 trillion is a big fat 100 billion, maybe. I don't even believe that actually. So then you
Okay.
said that was the first thing you said, which is factually not true. He fired the inspector generals. He got rid of the investigations into his companies, and he made a bunch of new contracts. Okay. The next thing you said, I'm sorry, was what again? What was the good thing he did?
Hired people to go through the data.
Yes, they went through the data. They also fired people at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. They need to hire them back. They fired people here. They need to hire them back. They took the data. They took the data. And what do you think they're going to do with the data? Do you know what Plantier is? The Plantier company? Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Isn't it like an arms company or something? Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, just invested in it.
Yes. So that's Peter Thiel's
Yeah.
company. So that's the PayPal mafia. This is the white supremacist technocracy that you voted for. So Plantier, Peter Thiel, who saluted Hitler every day in school up until like 17, 18 years old. Heil Hitler in the morning. That's why Musk did it. He felt like a teenager for a second. That's what he did. He regressed to his teenage self. He went, but he's not, So anyway, Peter Thiel and Plantier, they think democracy is run its course. They think AI can run the
How do you
government
know
better. They
what
think
people think, Brian? How do you know what people think?
that's what he says, dumbass. Do some fucking research. The vice president of the United States has only worked for Peter Thiel, and you don't know any of this? Come on. You need to be smarter. This is what Peter Thiel thinks. This is the technocracy that they want to
He
invoke.
said democracy has run its
Yeah,
course.
look it up. Look it up.
That
That may not be a
J.D.
direct
Vance
quote.
said democracy has run its course.
Peter Thiel, Plantier, that technocracy, that group of technocracy thinkers thinks democracy has run its course. They want things to be done by a technocratic elite using a lot of AI. That's absolutely the case.
I'm worried
Peter,
about the technocratic idea.
good.
I'm with you.
Well, I'm glad.
But
Okay, so let's move on. So let's do a couple things where we might agree, just to have some easy ones. Uh,
okay,
Transgender folks have been kicked out of the military. There's like 10 of them in the NCAA. This is a huge point. It's a trigger point that gets the red base to vote. They get all whipped up about transgender. Is transgender a big deal in this country for you? Yes or no?
um, hold on. Just before I answer that question, I gotta like, is it possible you're wrong about this stuff? Is it possible that you're wrong?
Of course it's possible. That's
So
because
how would you? What is your fail-safe to see if you're wrong or not?
I constantly bring in new information and I constantly work on my emotional clarity so that I can be a critical thinker. I
How do you do
constantly
that?
you
Teach me.
constantly upgrade information and you constantly work on
So what's
yourself. You become,
something that you upgraded recently? I'm curious. Like, what have you shifted your perspective on?
again,
And I'll answer your trans question, but
no,
like, what have you
this is the game you played last time. And
asking
frankly,
questions?
no, this is one of your gotcha questions. Shove it
Okay.
up your ass. I'm running this. Okay. I just said to you, let's come to some agreement. And you're pulling out your gotcha bag. You have this annoying fucking gotcha
I'm
bag.
trying to
No,
understand
you're
you, Brian. I
not.
don't.
You're not trying to understand me. The
You're now
first,
you're assuming my
nope,
intent. You understand that, right?
nope. Your
You're saying
first
I'm insincere
question Your
or
first
unaware.
question, your first question was an attempt to understand. You said, "How do you do it?" And it was a
Yes.
setup for your second question, which is a gotcha question. Fuck you, and let me ask you something nice.
So
Okay?
is there anything that you've changed your mind on? That's a bad
All the
question. That's trying to understand you.
I change my mind on things all the time. I'm wrong all the time. We're not here for that. We're here to I'm trying to give you a layup. Transgender, is it a problem or not? Yes or no?
Yes,
Why is it a problem?
because of a lot of different things, but a big one would be the pushing of children to transition at a young age. I think that's a
Yes,
problem.
pushing someone through anything at a young age is bad. Pushing someone into Christianity at a young age is bad.
I disagree
Pushing
with
someone,
that.
oh, you think that's okay?
I think I
So you
think
you
Chris.
think
I
you
think
think you think brainwashing your children when they're too young to be critical thinkers is good for them?
no, I didn't say that.
Well, that's what you're doing. If they're that
No, I'm
young,
not.
if you're indoctrinating your children at
No.
7, 8, 10 years old,
Indoctrination means you can't ask questions. My kids can ask me a million questions about Christianity.
7-year-olds do not have the capacity to withstand a parent indoctrinating them to a religion.
Do you
That's
have
an objective fact.
children?
I do. I have a stepson.
Okay, and like who's like
No,
7? They
who's
don't have the
like 30.
capacity to ask
No,
questions. They absolutely do.
30. He's 33. We didn't
Oh,
indoctrinate him into a
that's
religion.
a different
No,
thing.
no,
But
but
kid,
no, the point, no, dude, listen, I'm 58. I've been a parent. I did it. I've got a very great stepson, son. He was never indoctrinated because we allowed him to become himself. And then we showed him the religions. We showed him the options. He makes up his own mind when he's older, not when he's 5, 6, 7, 8, going to church and wanting to please daddy and wanting to please mommy. That's indoctrination, dude. That's brainwashing your kids. They can
If
ask questions, but they do not have the mental, emotional capacity or independence to be a critical thinker. That's
you can
not
get them,
possible.
okay.
You can
Well,
get you can't get them there by taking them to church at 7. You can get them there in their teens. You can talk to it later, but there's an evolution of the brain. All right, let's skip that. You can fuck up your kids. They're your children. You
okay.
can do whatever you like with your children.
My kids are good.
Transgender, that's good. I'm
Yes.
glad you hear it. I don't think they're good, but that's fine. You talk.
You don't know anything about
No,
it.
I know what you show online. You taught your kid to grovel when he got his ass kicked at karate. You don't have to teach young men to grovel. You know what you have to
I
teach
told
them? Don't
him to
vote.
grovel when he got his ass kicked in karate. He didn't get his ass kicked. He doesn't do karate, and I didn't say grovel. So those are three things in your one sentence that you are patently false on. Do
Okay,
you understand? Like, this is
you're
interesting.
picking apart the words. There's a video where your child is doing martial arts of some form. It may not be karate. Again,
Okay.
you're nitpicking the words.
Okay.
I'm not in a lawsuit with you, Will. I'm saying you posted a video where you were
Yeah.
proud of your kid bowing after he lost. Because you're saying I teach my kid
He's
to bow and to be
a gracious winner, gracious
to
loser.
be
Yes. I think,
gracious
yes.
loser. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. Yeah, it's not necessary to go that far. I think you're going too far, but that's fine. So you can indoctrinate your children into Christianity if you like. That's fine. You can think they have critical thinking at age 7. That's fine. I disagree with all that. So let's go back to transgender. We have this thing where it's about military readiness. So the military has mechanisms to judge people.
Okay. Like,
They already judge people's readiness within the military. So when you take transgender people out of the military, you're limiting the defense abilities of the United States and making the country weaker. Why would you do that? Because you have an issue with indoctrination. See, that's different. Indoctrination isn't people who are in the military. These are adults. These are grown-ups. And these are people protected by the Constitution.
okay.
So if you believe in the Constitution, which I'm pretty sure you would say you do, and if you actually want the country to be strong, which I think you do, then there would be no reason to remove transgender adults who've gone through the military process and all the rigors, which are beyond you and I comprehending. There'd be no reason to do that unless you were a bigoted prick, unless you were some sort of authoritarian who was trying to make points with his base. There's no reason to do that. There's no constitutional basis and there's no military readiness basis. Hexas loves to talk about military readiness. That's against military readiness. That's a fact. It's an objective fact. Transgender military folks could tell you all about
Okay.
it.
You have a platform. You're going on a rant. Do you have a question for me? I mean, I didn't say anything about the military or anything about adult transgender people.
No,
I just
I
told you.
asked you about the military. I said,
What's
is
your
it okay
question?
to discriminate against transgender people in the military? That was
No,
my
you
question.
didn't. You didn't ask me that.
All right, maybe,
You
maybe.
can't, like, I can answer your question. You just went on a rant, Brian. There was no question in there.
Okay. Well, is it yes or no?
Okay. You do recognize that, right?
We'd have to check the tape. It's fine.
Okay.
Again, every time you interrupt, it's so frustrating. You're such an annoying person. So, is it okay to discriminate? Yes or no? I'm just reading off my
Is
note
it
page. If you'd let me.
okay to, I'm glad you have notes. Is it okay to discriminate? Yes, of course it's okay to discriminate. We all discriminate
No,
about a million things, of
no.
course.
Here you go again with the word salad. Is it okay to remove people from the military who've been vetted by the military, who are making America safe? Is it okay to remove
Is
them
it
from their
okay
positions?
to remove people who are making America safe from the military? No.
Transgender people in the military who've been vetted by the military, who've gone through all the procedures that you and I haven't done, who've been approved by their chain
Yeah.
of command and every.
Look,
Is it okay to remove those people from duty? Yep.
is it like
Yes or
if
no?
someone can
Yes or no?
no,
Yes or
hold on.
no?
Look,
Do
nuance
you
matters,
agree with the
Brian.
president or
Am I
not? Do you voted
okay
you
with
voted for it?
people
You voted for it. So do you agree with what you voted for?
if someone can run, jump, shoot straight, they're a great soldier. I don't care what gender they are. If they're keeping us safe, then I want them to be a soldier.
Great. Why did you vote for Trump knowing he would do that? Moving on. Let's move on. So
Is that that's a
it's a
rhetorical question?
rhetorical question. It's fine. So how about this? Here's an easy one. Members of Congress buying and selling stock, good or bad?
Bad.
So when members of Congress are in Congress, we would agree that there needs to be some new regulations on what they do. Like you said, Marjorie
Sure.
Taylor Greene just bought some Plantier, which is the whole techno bro
Yeah,
thing.
Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, it's on both sides. Dan
Yeah,
Crenshaw. Yeah,
of course.
I've
So you would
talked
like,
about that publicly for
okay.
sure.
So I was hoping we would agree. So there should be some regulation on that.
Yes.
Yes. So Trump going around the world with the technocrats doing deals for his family and himself,
Hmm.
good or bad?
Doing deals for his family and himself.
Yes, Trump doing deals, making billions of dollars, having the crypto coin, having the five hundred
Oh
thousand
yeah, I don't
dollars.
like that. No,
Okay,
yeah, I don't like that.
okay, so we're on the same page.
Sure.
So that's corruption. We would agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh no, there's corruption in
no,
politics for sure.
no, 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 no. This is very specific corruption. Trump
Yeah.
has made billions of dollars in 3 months. And if you're a critical thinker, you would have known that was going to happen, but you voted for it anyway. Please explain.
So because you don't think Kamala Harris is corrupt?
No, 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 no. Billions of
Hello?
billions. Sorry, my phone rang. Billions of dollars
Yeah.
in 3 months. It, it's
Well,
it's about scale, Will. There's a difference between, if your kid takes,
yeah,
something off the
I understand the
sidewalk.
concept of scale.
Thank you.
Yes.
So don't fuck around with Kamala Harris. Answer the question.
It's a
Since you,
Brian, it's a binary choice
it,
between I was going to vote for RFK Jr.
it
and you said that was dumb.
was
So,
totally insane. That's
sure.
completely insane.
Well, I didn't have the choice. So between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, I made
Right.
the difficult decision because I didn't like either one of them. I made the difficult decision to go with Donald Trump.
Sure. So do you understand the concept that voting for people we like is profoundly narcissistic? Do you understand
But
that? That's not what
voting
voting
for
is.
people, it's not that it's the people that I think are best for the country.
Okay. So you think Trump is best for the
I
country
think
and you still feel good
Trump
about
is
that?
better than Kamala Harris for the country, yes.
Okay. So 3 months in, you feel good about your vote.
Compared to Kamala Harris,
Okay.
yes. But I
And
don't
why?
like that doesn't mean that I like him or it
Okay.
doesn't mean that I like a lot of the things that he
So was
does.
Kamala Harris going to push every boundary on the Constitution and make herself a billionaire in 3 months? Was she going to expel brown people without due process? Was that going to happen?
I think it would look like a different kind of corruption.
I see. So you think that this corruption is really not that bad?
No, I said it's bad. It's not as bad as what I believe she could have done or would have done.
Okay, great. So what would she have done that would have been as bad as this?
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
that's
None of
kind of
us
interesting.
knows.
That's kind of
No one
interesting, isn't it? Because
knows.
you just said your premise was she would have done worse than him. I'm saying let's look at him, and you're still saying I think she would have done worse than him, and I'm saying what would she have done? And you don't fucking know.
I don't
This is
know.
not critical thinking, dude. That's not critical thinking.
It,
What would she
Brian,
have done? What would she have done?
I think that what would have happened is the balance of the government. I think the government would have gotten very powerful and in different kinds of ways. I think that the ideas of whatever you want to call it, like wokeness, critical social justice stuff, could have gone off the rails. I think that she has a history of a lot of things that aren't good from her past. I don't know who would be in charge. I think that still big corporations would still be running things. I don't know. I really
Okay,
don't know, but I do
so
like his commitment to I like the idea that the journalists are highly critical of him. I think more so than her, and I think that keeps him keeps like some transparency that is good. I don't think that she would release as many like files and things like that about what could happen that might happen later in the Trump administration. I really don't know.
okay,
But I'm
so
still going to lean on my choice, and I
yeah,
don't like a lot of Trump's decisions, but I still would lean on the idea that I
yeah.
don't think that Kamala Harris was good. I don't think Biden was a good president. I
Mm,
don't think that Kamala Harris would have been much different by her own admission, and I was interested in seeing something new because I do
gotcha.
think that up until COVID, that things
So
were
Trump,
fairly
who was
good.
president for 4 years, who's now like 5 times worse because he had 4 years to plan. This is something new. You just said you were worried about government overreach. We live in a world of government overreach. You said you were worried about media. Let me just give you some facts, dude. Fox News, which is not news, it's entertainment, and they've said so in court, and they
Mhm.
got hammered $800 million for being entertainment. They're the most popular thing on cable for 25 or 30 years. So this liberal media thing is again your Republican brainwashing. Are you from Pennsylvania? Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Small town in Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh, Philly?
Not a city. No.
Okay.
Like
So you grew up in Red County, America, and you are
no,
literally parenting.
it's not red though. Yeah,
It's
it
not
wasn't
red.
red, but
Oh, so you grew up with a Democratic family.
Yeah, my whole family's Democrat. Yeah,
Oh, so this is you rebelling like a teenager. I
but
get it. Okay.
I'm not like this is the first time I've ever voted Republican for anything.
Yeah,
So
and
how am I I'm a red person now?
well, no, I'm saying you're rebelling. You're just rebelling.
At, at, at 42 years old was I started rebelling.
Yeah, that's when
I voted for
most men start.
Obama twice.
That's
I
when
voted.
most men start to grow up is around 40.
Okay, but that's a silly premise because I always voted Democrat my whole
Oh,
life, and then all of a
okay.
sudden I just changed over, and now I'm a hardcore
So
Republican.
so
Even though I voted for one person who doesn't even isn't even liked by a lot of the Republicans.
well, no, that's you're making shit up. Trump owns the Republican Party and has for a long time. But let's go back to the point. The things you were worried about with Harris, which you can't name,
Things I don't
except the
like about Harris.
except the
That's
wokeness
not what I
thing.
can't name. I can't name what she would have done.
Yes, that's right. Right. You don't know what she would have done.
No one does.
Yes, but would she? So my question was, would she be suspending habeas corpus or threatening to?
Maybe.
Would she be making billions of dollars? Maybe. You really think so?
Yeah,
Did you
maybe.
take did you take drugs today? Are you on drugs at the moment?
No. But like Obama killed American citizens, right?
In what capacity?
He sent
In
drone strikes and killed American citizens, and there was no penalty for that, right?
there Trump did more drone strikes when
That's
he
not.
was president than Obama.
See,
What's your point?
see
What's
what
your
you're doing.
point?
You're doing the thing that you're saying that I do that's so bad, which
Well,
is
I'm
I asked you a question
saying
about Obama, you turned it to Trump.
every
You
president
just recognize.
every
I can admit that I'm wrong, but like just recognize you do the exact same thing
every
that you say is so terrible, and
president
you curse at me and say that I'm not a critical thinker. You just do the
every
exact same thing.
president kills people. Every president kills
American
people.
citizens,
Military people, yes. Did you
American
think
citizens.
what are you saying? Obama had a firing squad for people from Philly? What are
No,
you talking about?
I'm saying that he killed American citizens, and there was no due process for that. Obama, look, I think what could Kamala Harris
Where
do
did Obama kill American citizens?
with
Where did he do that?
drone strikes?
He did drone strikes in the United
No,
States.
American citizens over in the Middle East
He killed American citizens on purpose in the Middle East, or because they happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
because of their connections to terrorist organizations, stuff like that. It doesn't matter though. If you can be a terrorist in America, but if you're an American citizen and you're killed, there needs to be due process. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. You're still,
Okay.
whoever kills an American
Again,
citizen needs to have the day in court.
the mental
But
gymnastics here are absurd.
okay, I
If
think people
someone's
are
in,
probably following along with
if
it.
so,
But another thing that
no, I'm following it. It's absurd. Just
okay,
listen. If someone's in a foreign country, you're trying to make a point that's irrelevant. If someone is in this country, even
okay,
if they're not a citizen, if you want to talk about due process, Scalia, Ginsburg, the current Supreme Court, they all agree there is a process, and people who aren't citizens are afforded that process. You can look up the video of Scalia and RBG talking
okay,
about it. There's nobody
okay.
more right wing than Scalia. So what we
Well, that's
have is,
not true, but okay.
well, in the history of the Supreme Court, it'd be hard to find
Sorry,
someone more.
I know.
In the
I
history
know
of the
you get
Supreme
mad because
Court.
I point out the words you use because you call it word salad and stuff. But I think being articulate matters in a conversation about important things. I think the more
But
articulate you could be, I think the better.
but, well, I'm not here to have a lawsuit with you. Again, I was trying to find common ground, and you're saying that you don't know what Harris would have done, but you fear it would have been worse, even though you're looking at what Trump has done. And now you're nitpicking what he's done when I say suspending or pushing the Constitution to its limits, overwhelming us with bullshit, which was the Bannon strategy. You
Okay,
think this is all better than what Harris would have done? Yes or no?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No, I don't know.
Okay. So you don't know if this is better than what, or worse than what Harris would have done. So in your mind, Harris could have done something as horrible as all this. But then,
She could have done worse. Yes.
okay, and what would that be? What's the fucking answer? I've asked you twice. You don't have an answer. What could she have done? Use your big critical thinking brain. Use your
There's a lot of
imagination.
there's a lot of
Show
things
your
she could have.
kids how smart you are. List them. What could she have done that would have been as bad as this?
What could someone do that could be
Not
worse than what's going on?
someone, Kamala Harris.
I don't know, but there's a lot of things that she could have done. She could have moved into a more of a technocratic slant faster. She could have deported more people or she could have let people more in. The borders could have been open more. Let's go the other way. If the borders were open for longer, that could have led to a massive terrorist attack and our cities blow up, and that's worse. Is that possible that she keeps the borders
Dude,
open, people come in and commit a terrorist attack? Is that possible?
you are the smartest seeming dumb person I've ever
Just
met.
ask you a question. Is it possible that if you keep the borders open, someone dangerous could get in and commit a terrorist attack?
Is it possible that you could find $100 on the sidewalk? Is it possible? Is it possible, Will? Is it possible that someone in your family could die that you've never met and give you $1 million? This fucking game is absurd. It's not real life. It doesn't get to the truth. It's your
I think
particular
keeping the
way.
border open is a big deal.
Okay. So you've basically come up with a bunch of crazy shit she would never have done. Let's move on to the border. Let's talk
She
about
wouldn't
that.
have kept the border
Let's
open?
let's talk about the border.
Okay.
So what do you think is the solution to people coming in the country illegally? What's the solution?
Secure the border?
Secure the border. Could you be more specific? Could you be more articulate, to use your
Sure.
word?
Sure.
Secure the border. Could
You get more,
illuminate.
more guards, more whatever you need to do, barriers
Mm-hmm.
and more guards
Mm-hmm.
to prevent people from coming in here. I think
Okay.
that's a start.
So preventing people from coming in is the goal, and the solution is more barriers, more guards, more of a wall. Is that what you're saying?
And then for people who want to come in, who to seek asylum, build a better process. I think that there should also be a way to create some sort of sponsorship or something like that for people who we want in this country. I think just like walls in your house, I think that you should keep people out who you don't want to come in and bring people in who you want to come in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in the history of this country, we've had this thing called a citizenship test, and we've had this thing called immigration courts. So I'm going to say that you're missing the point. The point is that there aren't enough courts, there's not enough money put up by Congress to vet the people that want to come in. That's the solution. It's a very simple solution, but no one's doing it. Neither party
Make
is
more
doing it.
courts, you're
You
saying.
need more process, more infrastructure to vet the people who want to
Not
come in.
barriers. No barriers. Or less
It,
not make a strong barrier and
the,
guards.
the amount of barriers that we have are sufficient if we
No, they're
had an
not.
efficient. Can
No,
I
they're
finish?
not.
Can I finish? If
Yeah.
if if we had an efficient process for vetting people who want to come in, they wouldn't be risking their life going across the middle of the desert because they would know that they could go to an office and be vetted quickly. It's not an easy or fun thing to do to cross the desert and risk your life and the life of your infant or young children because it's your only hope of survival. If we had an efficient process at the border crossings to vet people who wanted to come in, the immigration problem would be solved. But let's go further with that. Why is it that both parties apparently can't seem to do that? Like, let me ask you a different question. I'm sorry, that's a hard question. Let's ask a simpler question. Undocumented immigrants in the country, problem or not a problem?
Yeah, it's a problem. Sure. It can
Okay,
be
and
better.
why is it a problem? No, why are they a problem?
Well, they're not just a problem. They're
Okay,
also wonderful, right? It's nuanced. It's yes and.
so
The
what's
problem,
the what's the ratio, would you say, between wonderful and a problem?
I don't I don't know how to quantify that.
Okay, well,
But I
I'm
think
going to
there are
help you.
negatives to them coming in. I think there's positives of having illegal immigrants too.
Sure,
But I would say that the negatives could be, I think the negatives are high enough that we could create an immigration system that the positives are still in place. I think that would be the aim of the ideal,
sure.
is we get the positives of illegal immigration in a more legal way and then get rid of the negatives of illegal immigration.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, again, I basically agree with that, except you're sort of missing the data of what's actually happening. Illegal immigration is a racist boogeyman, just like the Red Scare was a boogeyman against communism, just like when Irish came in or any immigrant group came in this country. In the history of this country, there's been a fear of the other. It's a long-standing historical thing. And if we look at the data of undocumented immigrants in this country, and you can find this in lots of places that you will find credible, they pay taxes, local, state, federal taxes,
Many do,
around
yeah.
around $90 billion a year. They get almost nothing. They get maybe a couple trips to the ER that get written off by the medical industry.
Well, that's no,
And
that's not true either. They do get a lot of benefits from schools,
they don't.
medical. They get a lot of benefits too. So
They,
that's
they
not true.
no,
But
they don't
I
get
do agree that they pay taxes. Many of
they
them.
don't get entitlement benefits. They don't have a
No,
social security number. They don't get social security benefits like a citizen. Sure, they have
no.
benefits in the general sense, but I'm talking about remunerative money benefits. They mostly pay and they don't get much out. They also make a lot of money for people who look like you and me. They do
Okay.
jobs that your kids don't want to do and you wouldn't want your kids to do. Do you want your kids to work in the fields in Central California? I don't think you do. So it's not really a problem. The whole issue has been overblown because it's a boogeyman to make people scared and to make people vote for an authoritarian like Trump. It's not a real problem, and it's a solvable problem because in reality, it is a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor civil offense. It's not a crime per se. It's not a felony crime. It's a misdemeanor crime. It's like a speeding ticket.
Would
Coming in the
you
country
change your mind on
illegally
this if data was presented that countered it?
will
Someone's
will
if we spend $400 billion on illegal immigrants and they bring in 97 billion in taxes, would that change your mind?
First of all, it's undocumented immigrants. Illegal's pejorative. It's very white supremacist. You should do better. I mean, you're interested in nuance of language, right? So undocumented immigrants are not a problem. They commit less violent crime. That's a statistical fact. They
Yeah,
pay a
but
shitload of tax.
that's your question.
No, I'm saying to you that
Okay.
your hypothetical makes no sense because they're already not a problem. They're already not a problem. They're making money for people who look like us. They're paying taxes. They commit less crime. They're not getting much at all in the way of
Yeah, but
services. Why is
other people have
why is that a
data
problem?
that counters your
What's
data. So then what do we
the
do
data?
then?
What's the
I
data?
just told you $400 billion spent on illegal immigrants and 97 billion is brought in on taxes. And
What
then you got mad because I said illegal.
who's spending 400 billion
The United States.
on border
It
security?
on entitlements and things like that.
That's not true at all.
What if it is? Right.
Find it.
Okay. It's
Let's
not. But what
find
if
it.
it is? What
Find
if it
it.
is? What if I can find that
Tell
and
me
send it
where
to
to
you? Would
look.
you change your
I have Google right
no?
here.
But
Find
if
the
that's the
where is it? Tell me.
case,
Just tell
would
me.
you change your mind?
Of course I would. Tell me where it is.
Okay.
Where's the
I don't have it.
for
I don't have it here. Someone in the comments is saying that. So I don't know.
you? Oh,
But so I
okay.
think that
So
so if that's the case,
let me get this straight. Let me get this straight.
yeah.
You're so
But
fucking dumb and trying so hard to find a counterpoint that you're going to take one of your idiot followers and just say it without having any idea if it's true. You see, this is why you're a terrible teacher. It's
I
fundamentally
said,
irresponsible to open your mouth about things that you don't know anything about. What
but
I told you are
Brian,
facts. What you said was just an inflammatory thing that some moron said.
yeah, it's the Homeland
That's
Security.
not good teaching. It's not
But
good critical thinking.
Brian, you're not letting me talk at all. I said
No,
as
go
a
ahead.
hypothetical. I said as a hypothetical.
Yes. But as a
Okay.
hypothetical, Will, listen. What you're
And
doing is chaos. This is chaos making. Your job as a teacher is to have some fucking data. It's not just to present hypotheticals.
okay.
That's a game. That's a little game. What you do is dialogue, sir. You don't do critical thinking. Dialogue is, well, hypothetically, would you change your mind? Like we're fucking seven.
No, the
That's not
dialogue is literally
critical
just a
thinking.
conversation between
Yes,
people. That's it.
dialogue is
That's
not
not
critical
seeking
thinking.
for objective understanding of things.
Well,
Like I gave you the definition.
you're not seeking for objective understanding. You're asking me if I would change my mind. That has nothing to do with the topic.
Yes,
You
it
don't have
does.
No, it doesn't. You have the data on the topic that I gave you is verifiable. The data that you gave me is what some moron said in the comments.
And if it is verifiable, you will change
I've
your mind.
already established that in the
Good.
beginning of the call.
Okay.
Every piece of new data that I take in is a good piece of data. I don't have a bias on the data. Give me the best information.
Okay.
That's it's a
And you'll
hundred
change your
percent.
mind about illegal or whatever you said, unhoused or whatever your definition is
It's not
of
my definition, Will. It's the term. It's undocumented.
undocumented
The,
immigrants.
the
Uh,
fact that you don't know that is sad. You're 40 years old. You're a teacher.
I don't.
Undocumented immigrants.
I don't use the same. I say undocumented sometimes, and
Well,
sometimes I say
illegal
illegal.
illegal is a pejorative. There are no illegal humans. All of us who are in this country are illegal compared to the Native Americans. There are no illegal humans. It's an absurd pejorative.
Okay.
And you're
Okay.
doing the right talking points. Undocumented immigrants, dot, dot, dot.
Um.
I gave you the facts. You gave me some shit from somebody on the comments.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not. I mean,
All right,
it's
moving
part.
on, moving on,
All right.
moving
Yeah, I
on.
got like 10 minutes, man. All right.
Okay,
What do you got?
let's see. Do you believe in the promise of the Constitution?
Do I believe in the promise of the Constitution as an aim?
Yeah, as a goal.
Yes.
Okay. And you think Trump's doing a better job at that than Harris would have, even though you can't name what she would have done?
Well, I did, and then I got cut off a bunch of times trying to talk to you about it.
But go
But
ahead. Take
I
your
do
time.
think. Do I think that Trump is more aligned with the Constitution than Kamala Harris would be? Uh, I think his administration is going to be better for the Constitution, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We should cut it off. You're a fucking moron, dude. I can't even deal with you.
You're
It's insane.
triggered?
No, I'm not
Why?
triggered at all. No,
Oh.
it's hopeless. It's not triggered. If you're so
Because I
stupid as
disagree with you?
no, it's dude, I'm not triggered.
Okay.
It's a waste of my time. You're hopeless. The Trump administration is profoundly.
Brian, you want to talk to me so bad.
I
How is it a
didn't.
waste of your time?
I didn't want to talk to you so bad. No,
Brian, you DM me several times a
I
day.
did not
Why?
DM you. No, no, no. What I
You
send you in
don't?
the DMs.
You
What I
don't.
send you in DM.
If I open up my DMs and
Yes.
share that, it won't show
Here,
you constantly talking
I,
to me?
I would like you to share all those with all of your people because every one of those DMs
Okay.
is trying to show you how fucking dumb you are. Those are insightful posts.
I'm sure that do you see yourself as insightful? Is it possible that you might be wrong, that you might be misguided and
How
wrong
many
on a lot of
how
things?
many times do you need to hear an answer before you
But I
start?
don't see it because
I
I
see.
think that it sounds like it's words that you say, but in your
I
actions.
see. So
And
when
also,
you
why are
said
you so insulting all the time? Why do you curse the way that you do? Why do you throw names around? You call me a child, but like, do you think that you talk like a 58-year-old man?
I don't give a fuck what you think.
I'm asking you what you
I
think.
talk the same way I talked when I was 21. It's an ageless way of working. I'm not here to be a 58-year-old man. You can put me in your box if you want, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck.
but is there
I'm
is there
I'm I'm not here to make friends on your page. I'm here to counter the brainwashing that you do disguised as critical thinking. It's not critical thinking. It's
you're not
right wing.
brainwashed?
It's right wing. What is my brainwashing? Please tell me. Look, you said to me 400 billion or whatever, and I was like, great, let's look it up. I've already proved this point to you. I was ready to look it up, and you didn't have it. You're just
Okay.
making a counterpoint because that's
Okay.
your technique. This is what you do. Your paradox thing is you bring a right wing talking point and you say, let's discuss. That's not critical thinking, Will. Critical thinking is if you read that comment, you know that that's not a real thing. So you don't bring that into this conversation because that's lowering the general intelligence of this conversation. So when I say to you that you are wasting my time, I've decided this is hopeless. If you don't see that Trump is a greater threat to the
Okay.
Constitution than Kamala Harris, the fucking
Yeah.
attorney, the person who has an actual law license and practice as the district attorney for the fourth largest economy in the world, which is where you live, by the way, and it's not Pennsylvania, then this is totally hopeless. So I
Okay.
give up.
So Brian, so if people are critical of you, I'm gonna post this, and people are critical, and they send you data and everything like that, you will evolve, and you go, you know what? I was wrong.
Dude,
I was
I
wrong. You'll
I,
say
I
that?
don't know how many I don't
How many times you have to say that?
I don't know how many times I have to say this. I've been
Yes.
self
Yes.
I've been self-employed my whole life.
Okay.
I have all day to both work and to assimilate and learn things, both political things, uh, personal work things, exercise. I mean, I have all day to do whatever I wish to do. I am not beholden to anyone, any company, any corporation, any political party, any ideology. I am a free person in this world.
Okay.
And I am a believer in the Constitution, and I'm a believer in science and the scientific method, and I'm a believer in the real version of critical thinking, which
Okay.
means taking in all the information at all times and
Viewpoint
always
diversity,
upgrading.
like I said, yeah.
No, not viewpoint diversity, as you said. It's getting to the truth,
Okay.
getting to the truth. The best version, like the version of media, is the best version of the truth. That's what media used to be in principle. Now it's more of a business. It's more difficult now. But the best version of the truth is what critical thinking is about. You
Hmm.
weren't able to be a critical thinker at 28. You're a kid, and you're not a critical thinker now. You do right wing talking points and you say, let's discuss. That's not critical thinking. You
Okay.
take someone's 400 billion and you say, well, would you change your mind for the fifth fucking time, dude? This is like talking to a wall.
Cool. All right. Good.
Yeah.
So where do we leave on this? Is this going to be a continuous thing where you just every time I post
I don't know.
insult you constantly DM me,
I,
send me emails, like whatever,
I
like there is an
sent
element here that feels like a little interesting. Like why, like are you like this with a bunch of people online, or is it just me? Like what is, like there's something going on here where
do
you
you
are
do you
very,
do
very
you
focused on me as an individual. I'm curious
I'm
what that
not
is.
focused on you, Will. You're a microscopic ant in my life.
Then why are you constantly reaching out to me daily?
I'm not reaching out to you daily. I share things to people. That's something I do.
You do that with like a bunch of people, like you
Yeah.
DM them several times a day,
I
even when
post those
they don't.
same.
Like I haven't responded to a DM in, I don't know, a year, and you
Are
just constantly
are
send
you
me stuff like,
feeling a little like a transgender kid who feels picked on in school? Because it kind of feels like you're feeling a little victimized here. Do you
I'm
feel
not
victimized by me, Will?
no, I'm not
Are
victim,
you in your
Brian.
feelings?
I'm
Are you in
not
your feelings?
intimidated by you in any way
You
whatsoever.
don't feel
You know that.
victimized at all?
No, it's not victimized. I'm
Okay.
asking, like what is going on here? Like what is going on with you? Are you
I,
okay?
I'm
Truly.
100%.
And I
I'm a
don't
hundred.
mean that in a pejorative,
Dude,
like mean way. Like
am,
honestly, I
am I
sent
am,
you an email before
am I okay?
privately where I was like, "Are you okay?"
Am I okay? What would you make you think I'm not okay?
Brian.
Let me try again. Um, I have a amazing, successful career. I'm very fortunate.
Okay.
I'm surrounded by good people. I own my
Okay.
home here in LA. I own another home in another country. I have
That's great.
close
You have a lot
friendships
of
and
things. I understand you have
lifetime
a lot of things. That's great.
friendships.
Okay.
Yes, but people like you have put the most dangerous person in power that this country's ever seen, and the United States is on the verge of truly ending
So
because of
it's because I voted
your
for Trump.
because of people like you who've justified this, who actually think that Trump is better for the Constitution than Kamala Harris. That's just sad, man.
It's just real. It's
And I don't know
just
you at all. I have no personal thing with you. I came across you on Instagram. I don't know why. Instagram showed me to you. I made a couple posts, and here we are. You're not a big part of my life. You can go to bed and rest easy.
okay. Yeah. Just all right. All right. Well, I hope this. Did you get like some satisfaction out of this?
No, not terribly, but
Okay.
at least we didn't do the gaming thing,
You
and
you
no.
think
I mean,
you
the stuff.
exposed me? You exposed me to the world as being bad, and you
No,
exposed yourself to the
mm,
world as being good.
no,
Because we did this
that's
publicly.
absurd. Are you 5 years old? You're good. I'm bad. Like, come on, man.
I don't
Grow up. That's not
know.
critical thinking.
Okay.
That's not thinking. I'm not good.
Okay.
You're not bad. That's not what it is. I'm
Okay.
saying you're not a critical thinker,
Okay.
and you
That's your subjective
present
opinion.
yes, and you present yourself as a critical thinker. And this conversation, I mean, has many moments of evidence of that. So
Okay.
what you do is
And
what you do is dialogue. You like the game of what if or hypothetical, and you live in that world, and that's all you can do. I get it.
okay. Okay. So is this gonna just be like a continuous thing then?
I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Will I don't know. Who knows?
Okay. And the evidence of this conversation will go out there and people will analyze it.
That's
And
fine.
if people disagree with me, that'll be evidence to support your
I,
stance. And if they
I'm not
disagree with
here.
you, that'll be evidence that you might be wrong, right?
I'm not here to make an argument and win an argument. That's not my intent.
Neither am I. But
Okay, so why are you bringing up this scorekeeping game shit at the end? What are you doing?
because
What,
you said
what's
that
your
there's evidence
what's your
that
what's your
you said
point?
there's evidence that I'm not a critical thinker, or I'm saying I'm not who I say that I am. And I'm saying, okay, well, people will analyze this. It'll go out there and people will analyze it and they'll make their judgment calls. And if someone says, like, yeah, well, you're wrong about this, this, and this, then I will do just like you say, where I'll go, okay, well, then I must be off or something like that. Okay, what is this? I'm gonna try and get better. And then you said that you'll do the same. So
If
we'll evolve from this conversation based on the opinions and evidence and data that people share. And I think that could be something positive.
if anything that I said in terms of data was incorrect, I'll be happy to learn from that. If anyone has data that answers any of the questions you couldn't answer, like what is Kamala Harris going to do that's as bad as what Trump's doing, I'd be interested in that.
You
It's
wouldn't
probably,
dismiss if someone gives you data, you won't dismiss the source. If they give you data from Breitbart, would you dismiss the source?
dude,
Is that a Kafka trap?
you're just wasting my time. I've already answered the question 5 times.
Okay.
How many fucking times do you have to hear an answer before you begin to consider that it might be a possibility?
Okay, cool. All right. Sounds good. So then people can reach out to you and I'll tag you in the post. People can reach out to you and send you data and maybe you'll evolve your thinking. People can send me stuff. Maybe I'll evolve my thinking. Sound good?
I'm always open to new
That,
data and better
that's what you
data.
say. I hear you.
I said
I
it
hear you.
from the beginning.
Yeah. No, I got you. I hear you. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you very much for jumping on the call. Appreciate you. I wish you well, Brian. I really do. I hope things
I,
are it sounds like things are going great for you. So I'm glad to hear it.
everything's good. Everything's good with me. I don't need your patronizing concern.
It's not fake. It's not fake. I don't wish you ill at all, Brian.
I don't
At
wish
all.
you ill at all. Why is that even part of this conversation? I don't understand.
Uh, I don't know. I have concerns. That's all. I wonder
Okay.
if you're okay.
Well,
That's
that's
all. But you don't like
seems
you might think you have concerns about me. So it's all good.
seems
Okay.
like you're seems like you're projecting. This is the point of
Sure.
being a critical
Okay.
thinker.
Yeah,
You
maybe
got
I
to
am. Maybe I am. I gotta go though. Appreciate you, man. Thank you guys for listening. All right, take care.
take care.
All right, bye bye, guys. All right. So that's the conversation. I'm sure I was off on certain things. Perhaps he was off on certain things. But part of this is about me trying to model dialogue with people that are against what I have to say. So I appreciate you guys. Please share in the comments or share out there. I think that the more eyes we get on conversations like this, if I am bad or wrong or not good at the process of how I engage, I want to get better. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. And I'm just here trying to get better. And if there's data that would counter what he said, please send it. And if there's data that would counter what I say, please send it. And we just try and be better. But I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. This account's really cool, and I get to interact with people. And I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go have fun with the family.